I mean, we were the masters of this. We wanted people. If we were Jonas Vingegaard right now, we would want everybody else to think that we are still in a wheelchair, and you're out doing 7-hour rides. Like,
a little harder to hide today than it was.
It's a little harder to hide, but still, you certainly don't want to be posting. There's some tactics there and some strategy around just keeping people guessing. If I was those guys, shit, I would say anything. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast, talking about the Giro, the Tour of Italy, week 1. We're going to recap all the action and, frankly, probably just pretty much talk about the domination of Tadej Pogačar, who's no surprise to anybody, has just dominated this race from the get-go. I'm joined by Johan Brunel, who clearly we were texting before the show and decided to wear the same T-shirt. We did not do that.
Great minds think alike.
You and I have always been on a special wavelength. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Who did not get the memo is JB Hager right over there across the street in Austin, Texas. What's up, JB?
Just holding down the fort at the We Do office, Sweet Zero. I love that. We're literally Sweet Zero, if you're wondering.
Well, we're going to talk about, what is it? 8 days of racing. Tour of Italy, of course, for those who may or may not know, Tour of Italy. And I get asked this question a lot because people always, or people all know, I should say, that the Tour de France is the biggest bike race in the world. So people just that don't really know about cycling always ask me, they say, well, yeah, so the Tour is the biggest race, right? And I said, yeah. And so then the logical question for many folks is, well, what's the second biggest race? And, when we're talking about stage races, or certainly for Grand Tours, it is the Tour of Italy. Now, it's a different race and a different reach than the Tour, but nonetheless, man, this is a big race and a different race, which of course we'll talk about. Before we do, today's show brought to you by Element. You hear us talk about it all the time. I can personally tell you, I just got out of the gym, just downstairs. It's already hot and humid as hell here in Austin. I was out there sweating. I got to figure that out. That's a whole nother thing. Anybody that makes an AC or a fan solution, give me a call. But I was out there sweating. I had my jug of water full of Element. It's a game changer, not just for myself, but the whole team. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients, no BS. It is the real deal. And best of all, if you don't like it with this special offer, you can give it to a friend. The special offer is you get a free sample pack. Try out all the different flavors, dial in the one you like. I've been loving orange lately, I'll just say. And so give them all a try, figure out which one you like, and then go from there. Again, if you're like me and you sweat your face off, this is a game changer. Head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/themove. Also today brought to you by that sounded funny. Bicycle. Did you know that May is the best time to sell your bike and get the best price for it? And let's think about that for a second, right? Why is that, right? Especially for you Euro dogs. It's, the weather's coming around finally. You don't even have to be in Europe. You can be in North America, up in some of the northern states. I was just in Boulder for my daughter's graduation, and shoot, the weather was terrible. I was out trying to ride, but May is when it turns around. Summer right around the corner, if not already here for some folks. So now's the time to do it. You're 40% more likely to sell it now compared to the end of the season. You hear that? So don't wait to the end of the season. You're 40% more likely to sell it now if you list it than you will in the fall. Bicycle, our partner of today's episode, has over 20,000 road, gravel, and mountain bikes available and makes the process of selling and buying a bike safe, easy, and convenient. Are you looking to ride Tadej Pogačar's Colnago V4? Bicycle has a bunch available on their marketplace. I just took a look around the site and I found more than 500 different Colnago bikes for you to choose from and discover your next dream bike. Head on over to Bicycle. That's BUY, bicycle.com. That is the largest global marketplace for pre-owned bikes. Use the code WEDU, WEDU Giro at the checkout, and you get $100 off your new order. That's bicycle.com. The code is WEDU, Giro. Also today brought to you by AG1. Taking care of your health isn't always easy, but it should at least be simple. That's why for the past 5+ years, I've been drinking AG1 every day, no exceptions. Just one scoop mixed in water once a day, every day, and it makes me feel totally focused, nourished, and energized. That's because each serving of AG1 delivers my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more. It's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. And as I like to say, it is all about taking control of your health. If there's one product I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. And that's why I've been partnered with them for so long. So if you do want to take ownership of your health, start with AG1. Try it and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2. By the way, I just did some blood work the other day, and I hammer this vitamin D3 plus K2 they sent me, and it's actually coming up. I was deficient in vitamin D for a long time, and for the first time in my blood work, it is back to normal. Yahoo! So not only am I drinking the AG1, I am religiously taking their vitamin D3 plus K2. Head on over to drinkag1.com/themove. That's drinkag1.com/themove. All right, let's talk about the Tour of Italy. Look, no surprises, right? I mean, this is we are talking about what many would argue is pound for pound the best bike rider in the world. So, Johan, take it away. What I mean, and let's also be clear, right? This is not, as I said at the top of the show, it is the second biggest bike race in the world. And by virtue of that, you just get sort of the field gets diluted. I mean, he is not racing against Roglic and Vingegaard and Remco and all of these guys, but nonetheless, he's out there dominating.
Yeah, well, we in the preview show we talked about the potential podium. George and I picked Pogačar, Geraint Thomas, and Dani Martinez. That's podium.
That's working out for you.
That's the podium right now. We don't know yet in which order, second and third. I think if you look at the competition, it was always going to be a very hard race to lose for Pogačar if he doesn't do anything stupid. I think from now on, and especially the way the Giro has been designed, the first 2 days were already quite difficult. I think it was designed for him to basically try to win it on stage 1 and potentially keep it for 3 weeks. That would be the organizer's dream, in my opinion. He didn't win on stage 1, but he won on stage 2. And now the way the race is going, it's going to be, even if he wants to give it away to another team, it's going to be difficult. But I think I said, the first time we saw Pogačar this year in Strade Bianche, I said, I think Pogačar is on a different level this year. He looked skinnier. He looked amazing. He's proven now in every single race he's done that he is on a very high level. We don't know yet what that compares to his main rivals for the Tour. But yeah, this race is for the GC, in my opinion, it's gonna be a boring race. Let's not forget. This is Tadej Pogačar. He loves the show. He won stage 2. He won the time trial in a dominant fashion. And then he also won the other day an uphill finish. But there I could start to see already some thinking. He was, he could have gone away. He just let everybody attack, went to get them again, and then won in the sprint. So hopefully for him, I hope for him that that's the way he's thinking. I think personally, I don't know what you think, Lance. The situation as Pogačar has it now in GC, knowing how his form is, knowing what he has coming in July, how would you race this race if you are him and his team?
Training race, straight up. This is, and what happens when you if you're out training, right? You try to do specific work. He's in a position where he can actually ride a Grand Tour and do specific work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the time trial, right? And how he played that race tactically. Most people don't think a time trial is a tactical race. When I saw that, I was clearly thinking, okay, this is a guy doing specific work. So, but he's so far above the others. He can do specific work in the race. So that's what you want to do in training. And what else do you not want to do? You don't want to crash, right? You want to have any injuries, any crashes, any illnesses. Stay around the team. So he can treat it. I mean, it sounds silly, but and certainly if you're the others, boy, how would you like to wake up every day going, all right, well, Pogačar is going to go out for a training ride this morning and kick my ass. I'm going to be racing and trying. But he's special, right? And so if certainly if I were him, I would stay safe, stay out of trouble, and fit in some specific work when I could. Which again, to hear myself say that is like, wow. But while this might be important to him on some level, he's certainly preparing for the month of July.
Well, we're 8 days into the race. He won 3 stages already. So yeah, whatever he does now, I think actually, if Pogačar gets his mind around the way he has to race, it's really looking bad for the others, unless you want to go for stage wins. Guys like Geraint Thomas and Dani Martinez, I think, would actually have to hope that he just wants more and more and more, and finally digs himself in a hole. Don't know if that's going to happen, but we've seen it. We've seen it in the past. I remember one year, a few years ago, Primož Roglič was so good the first 2 weeks and then basically fell apart in week 3. It is unlikely to happen to Pogačar, but I think that's their only hope. If Pogačar really manages his efforts, that's a game over already now.
I was thinking as I'm watching Pogačar in this first week of the Giro, it's all anyone talks about. And sometimes you got to admit, it sucks to be his rivals. You're Geraint Thomas, and you do your post-race interviews. What do? They ask you about Pogačar all the time. What I'm reminded about of this, and maybe you guys can shed some thoughts on it, is do you remember when Tiger Woods hit the scene and just dominated, and the whole sport became about Tiger Woods and his lead on Sunday, and that's all anyone talked about. And the golfers that got it were like, hey, we're all making more money. We have more cameras on us than we ever had. The whole sport is completely elevated to a rock star level that it had never seen before. Is something similar happening right now? It's tough when you throw Tiger Woods' name out.
No. JB, I get where you're going with this. Of course, many of you all know I love the game of golf and follow a lot of golf. That's a serious statement. I know y'all like to give me grief, but it's true. And so, but as part of that, I like to follow just what that means for the sport in terms of TV viewership, how the industry is doing. Right? Are people watching? Let's go back to Tiger. Are they watching a Tiger and then going out and saying, I really want to play golf. Okay. I want to go to the store and buy new golf clubs or whatever. Am I tuning in? Yes, that happened with him. It's most certainly, and I'm not making anything up. You know, like I say all the time, quote the great Jay-Z, right? Men lie, women lie, and numbers don't, right? We know what the TV numbers did during our run. We know what the industry did. Now, having said that, Tadej Pogačar is not a Tiger Woods. He's just not. He's a damn good bike racer. He's a very likable guy. Is there a story there? No, he's a great bike racer. And I'm not editorializing. I'm going to just give you some, and I don't have it in front of me, but for those American fans who have tried to watch or I should say, or are watching the Tour of Italy, you're now watching, in the old days, or at least last year, up until last year, you watched it on GCN. It's now been moved to sort of this HBO Max package. So if you have Max, the streaming service, you can watch the race, and that's a Eurosport feed. The numbers, the viewership numbers for this Tour of Italy, for whatever reason, right? Maybe because the race is, in fact, as Johan said, boring. The numbers are way down, right? So all I'm saying is, as much as I like Pogačar and as much as I've followed the trajectory and all of the data around Tiger, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie, right? How many people are tuning in to watch this race? And the numbers are down. So that just is what it is. Maybe people look. I'm totally willing to accept that people are still not sure with the GCN being dissolved or sold off or sort of fizzled out, that people just aren't sure where to go. And if you're listening now or watching now, it's on Max, right? It's on HBO Max. Go to the streaming service. You can watch it there, just like what you would have experienced before. But if everybody here knows where to go, the numbers are down, right? And that's a troubling, I look at that as a fan, as somebody that we're all sitting here talking about it because it's our job. That's a troubling sign. And so, look, we'll see what happens during the tour with hopefully a field that comes back together and we get guys healthy. We'll talk about Vingegaard and Van Aert, et cetera, and get them all on the start line. What happens with NBC and what happens with Peacock? But these numbers are down, and so it's while I hear you, JB, these are apples and oranges.
We need the head-to-head.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I don't ever do these shows to talk about myself, but my story was a little different, right? You had an American in a French race, you had a cancer survivor in a grueling event, and so it got attention outside. Look, with Tiger, right? You had a minority. Historically, the game of golf was, as you go way back, I mean, shit. When Tiger comes out, wins the Masters by teens, right? Up in front of it. 50 years ago, he couldn't have played the course. That's a story, right? That's a story outside of the sport. Like, hang on a second. Wow, this is no shit. This is interesting. So those are human interest stories that get non-cyclists to watch.
Yeah, and also, let's not forget, the Giro with all, it's a great race, but in cycling, the only mainstream event is the Tour de France. The Giro d'Italia is popular amongst pure cycling fans. Non-cycling fans watch the Tour, not the Giro, not the Vuelta, not the Classics. They don't even know they exist. So I think we will have to wait to see what the audience does during the month of July. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to be out in full force in the month of July.
The other thing I want to keep an eye on, and I think I've talked about this in the past, and I know we've talked about it internally, is I think the sport of cycling has to be careful or has to pay attention to how sports are consumed, right? This younger generation, I don't think, and I'm a parent to 5 of them, I don't think they sit around and watch 5-6 hour sporting events. Yeah. I think they're all in. And whether it's, the effect that social media has had, or just these short sort of 30 to 120 second clips of like, okay, I got it. Like, I'm going to either watch something else or I'm going to do something else. Or I think the sport of cycling has to be careful how it's packaged up, or not careful, but be thinking about how it's packaged and presented to a younger audience going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have kids the same age. The attention span of these teenagers is just mind blowing. They have no patience. The Giro, I think that I think they're understanding it, because if you think back, the Giro was very known to have extremely long stages. There's almost no, I mean, I have to go through the list, but I think there's only 1 or 2 stages above 200 kilometers. So there are shorter stages, but still, 4 or 5 hours of bike racing, it's a long time. It's a long time. And we've talked about it in the past. There's so much that can be done to make it more attractive, but, proper to cycling, of course, they're fighting over who has the rights to which images. And until that is not, there's no solution for that. I think it can go to, I mean, is there a more boring sport than Formula One? To watch?
No. Well, yes, there is, but not many. It's up. It's on the podium of boring.
But still,
it's on. I should say it's on the boring podium.
They take the spectators inside the event, right? And cycling can do so much more. So we'll hopefully one day they'll come to a consensus and agree on stuff.
And by the way, last thing I'll say is if we are comparing golf and cycling, which this should not be a show about that, but the golf numbers are down too. Yet again, it's on TV for 5 hours every weekend. Like, that goes to the same point, right? That golf is not immune, and other sports and F1 is not immune to having one athlete be so clearly dominant that it becomes boring. They look, I'll give F1 credit. They've done a hell of a job making it interesting. and we have discussed this, and we know, radio communication in F1 is a critical part of strategy and the technical parts of it. It's fascinating to listen. Look, if Max Verstappen's winning by 45 seconds and all of a sudden you got the dude in 13th talking about his right rear brake is whatever. I mean, at least it's something. I'm like, okay, well, it starts to be added content or additional content so yes.
You bring up a really interesting point. Like, look at how many people are on the injured list right now, and we don't know their status, especially Jonas Vingegaard. Like, I want to be inside of you. Do you remember when Chloe Dygert sliced her leg open?
Unfortunately, we do.
No, and one of the worst accidents ever. But she was, the cameras in therapy, getting that leg working again. Like, I think everyone wants to know the injury updates on these top guys, and we don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you, or I don't blame them for not telling you what's going on. I mean, Johan, we were the masters of this. We wanted people. If we were Jonas Vingegaard right now, we would want everybody else to think that we are still in a wheelchair, and you're out doing 7-hour rides. Like,
a little harder to hide today than it was.
It's a little harder to hide, but still, you certainly don't want to be posting. There's some tactics there and some strategy around just keeping people guessing. If I was those guys, I would say anything.
Speaking of those, of Jonas, we can talk about Pogačar. He's obviously, if nothing happens, he's winning the Giro. He's the number one favorite for the Tour this year, especially after what happened to Jonas. But we've seen images. We've seen an announcement of Jonas being back on the bike. I saw him already training on his time trial bike. From the images I saw, he looks pretty good. I don't know how he feels, but I say number one, I'm 100% sure he's going to be at the start of the Tour de France, which is good news because a few weeks ago that was really, really uncertain. And number two, I think he's going to be in good shape. He won't have
what a story that would be.
Yeah. He won't have the ideal preparation, but I think if they're smart, they're going to take advantage of the situation. Okay, he's the underdog, although he has won. He's going to be the underdog because of the circumstances. Pogačar does the Giro. Obviously, he will have left some energy there, and then Vingegaard can basically grow during the Tour and be at his strongest during the third week. So I think we as fans, it's going to be interesting in July. But anyways, let's go back to. And by the way,
can I just add one thing to that, Johan? Yeah. What makes everything you just laid out, that situation, different than our generation, or even just the generation just before ours, is if I think about myself and I was off the bike for, 3 weeks, right? Or Indurain was off the bike for 3 weeks, or Jan was off the bike for 3 weeks. The number one concern would be how much weight have you gained?
Exactly.
Right. So, and that's just, we were bigger guys. It was a different sport. You'd put on 5, 6, 7 pounds, right?
A little bit more wine in the off season, maybe.
Well, no, I'm saying during that period while you're during the season. I mean, right now, just a month ago, you wouldn't be able to, we would be putting on weight. I just in looking at a guy like Vingegaard, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if he just doesn't eat, but he's very light.
Yeah.
I don't. So what I'm saying is that issue is taken off the table. I don't think anybody's having to call Jonas Vingegaard and be like, hey, hope you're not having dessert tonight.
Yeah.
Like it's the weight issue
is under control. Yeah.
It's under control. They don't have to stress about it. It's simply recovering from the crash physically and trying to fine tune the condition, your body weight, which I don't want to de-emphasize that. It is massively important when it comes to Grand Tours.
Absolutely.
And so there's two things, right? There's the power that you can put out, and there's how much you and your bicycle weigh. That's power to weight. If that's taken off the table, then all you got to think about is the power and the condition and the recovery. So
recovery is going to be.
Yeah. But let's talk about the Tour of Italy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so one thing I wanted to mention here is, we have this straightforward dominance of Pogacar, but the Tour of Italy would be the Tour of Italy without some controversy. So we see Pogacar winning stage 2, gets in pink. The day after, he shows up with a skin suit. They race in skin suits now whenever they can. And to my big surprise, I didn't think much of it. It was a skin suit provided by RCS, by Castelli, not his clothing brand sponsor. And the skin suit was 2 different tones. So the pink jersey, and then there was the dark pink. They call it chiclamino or grenade color for the pants. I said, wow, that's interesting. Maybe that's new fashion, whatever. 2 days later, to my surprise, I see this news that the UCI is threatening to disqualify Tadej Pogacar because of a non-confirmed uniform, meaning I don't know where it's written in the rules. I've seen all kinds of different colors. I mean, if you have a pink jersey, you can still, even if you're on a team which is in yellow, you could wear a pink jersey with your yellow team shorts. There's nothing that can prohibit you from doing that. Yet for some reason, I saw this headline, UCI threatens to disqualify Pogacar, and then finally they came to some kind of consensus. So the story behind this special uniform was that RCS actually provided on purpose this 2-toned skin suit as a homage to the city where Pogacar won. It was in Turin, close to Turin. There's this climb, the Superga, and 75 years ago, there was a tragic accident with the soccer team of Turin. And to remember that they made this uniform in the colors of the football club of Turin. So it was not even his decision. He just got the skin suit like you usually get a skin suit from, the organization. And yet for some reason, the UCI was being the UCI, our favorite people, Lance.
I'm not touching this, but I was going to say, this is just too good for you. You love stuff like this.
I do.
Yeah. Johan, wait, whoa. Can't wait to talk about this.
The first thing I wrote down in my notes, we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Did you send in the group chat something about him riding 165 cranks?
Yeah.
Boy,
yeah. Well, we don't know anything about this anymore. And, logically, I would think, well, it doesn't make sense, right? And usually you would say, well, the longer lever you have, the more power you can develop. Apparently it's the opposite. There's 2 reasons for shorter cranks. Aerodynamics, so more aerodynamic. And especially it's not about the lever going down. It's when the lever is up that it changes the angle of your hip and your femur, that you can actually produce more power with a shorter crank because your femur doesn't come up so high. That's what I've been told by a biomechanical person that works for one of the of the top teams. So there is a tendency of going on shorter cranks now, where before, when I was racing Miguel Indurain, he was a big guy. He was racing 180 cranks,
for sure,
all the time on the time trials and the road. So 165, but also, Lance, you saw the pictures in the group chat, the time trial, big chain rings of 60 tooth.
Yeah,
that's just incredible.
Well, but that's look. We always rode a big front chain ring. I think that's a good idea. It's not it sounds super macho actually, but it's they're not riding 60-11, right? That bigger front chain ring is giving you finer adjustments in the back. So he's probably riding 60-15, 60-16. But the difference between that 60-15 and 60-16 is much smaller if you have a much bigger chain ring in the front. The line of the chain is, and if you keep the line of that, if you are 60-15, then that chain is right in the middle of the rear cog set, which is the most efficient place to keep a chain, as opposed to, the most inefficient would be small ring, as we say in cycling, small to small. Kids, another public service announcement from the Move. You never go small to small and you never go big to big. That's because it puts too much stress on the chain and the angle the chain doesn't like. So 60-15 would be right down the middle.
Well, if you look at his average RPM during the time trial, it was 97 RPM. So
which is the most efficient. That's anything more. Also, kids, public service announcement number 2. Anything more than 100, don't look at anything I ever raced because I was more than 100. Anything over 100 is inefficient, right? We're still talking about metal on metal. That's too much. So 97, the kid's dialed. I mean, he's totally dialed. Let's, we got more action to talk about before we do. Today's show also brought to you by HVMN. We often hear that fasting and exercise are good for the brain. HVMN launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. I'm just here to tell you, I already told you a minute ago that I was down in the gym just before this, drinking my element. Well, 20 minutes before I went in the gym, I had the little ketone IQ shot. It's so convenient. Pop that baby open, hammer it down. I felt amazing in the gym. It does deliver clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, focus, and sharpness. You can save 30% off your first subscription order of Ketone IQ at hvmn.com/themove. That's hvmn.com/themove. Subscribe over there. You get 30% off. 30% off. Last one of the day brought to you by Caldera Labs. Gentlemen, we all know that first impressions matter. And if you're not taking care of your skin, that's going to be the first thing someone notices and instantly either thinks you're way older than you are, or you just don't care about your appearance. The best representative of that is Mr. George Hincapie, who clearly cares about his appearance, and he's not even on the show today. Where the hell is George? But for those that follow him on socials, you know the magic that happens, right? When it comes to Caldera Labs and a man's face. Just look at Mr. Hincapie and do make a first impression as he does. Caldera Lab creates high-performance men's skincare products, and the regimen leads off their product lineup. That is a twice-a-day routine to transform your skin. Just for our audience, we have an exclusive offer. This is their best offer available anywhere. Use the code WEDO at Caldera Lab. That's CALDERALAB, calderalab.com, and you get 20% off. Use the code WEDO at calderalab.com. Make that first impression matter. Any other action? We got to talk about Tim Miller. You were mentioning him, but just always, what'd you say? I didn't, all these stats, Johan.
Yeah, but Tim Merlier, usually every single Grand Tour he has done, he wins the first sprint stage, which he did. Also, there we had 3 sprints, 3 different winners. So Tim Merlier wins the first stage dominantly. We have Jonathan Milan, who's confirming that he is, the guy of the future. Huge guy, strong. I saw his numbers. I don't know. I think it was like 1,700 watts or something in the sprint. Top speed of 73 kilometers per hour in the sprint, which is incredible. And then yesterday, finally, the young promising sprinter Olaf Koy, first Grand Tour participation, first Grand Tour victory in a sprint stage. So, and there's more. I mean, this Giro peloton is really heavy on sprinters. There's also quite a few stages that are likely to finish in a sprint. So until now, 3 sprints, 3 different winners. So that's obviously great for the race.
And add to it that Pogacar is not afraid to do a lead out.
Yeah.
He's out there mixing it up constantly.
Yeah.
Let's go back to before this Giro started. You guys had question marks. Why do the Giro and the Tour, with the shakeup of injuries, focus on the Tour? Now we watch him after 8 days, clearly in control and having fun. What are your thoughts now on what he's doing? It's like, go have fun, put on a show.
Yeah, no, I think now in hindsight, and especially seeing the way his physical condition is, and the way the situation is, Pogacar is going to be completely fine doing both Giro and Tour at the highest level. If he is smart now and how he manages the next 2 weeks, I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm a lot older now, and I think a lot of time has passed.
Oh boy.
Don't be too greedy. We've made those mistakes in the past. And just, you've won 3 stages, you don't need to win another one. Even if he doesn't try to, he's still going to win another one, at least another one, So he also says, Pogacar says, and he has a point there, because people starting already to criticize, why do you want to win all the time? Why does UAE control the breakaway? They don't let it go. And Pogacar has a point. He said, well, if my teammates are working so hard, which better way of, rewarding them with a stage win? So you have to give it to the guy. The guy likes the race. The guy loves to win, wants to win. And Lance, when you're in a team that has that kind of leader, your teammates, unless you're George Hincapie, want you to win all the time. George was different. George said, we don't want to win. Everybody's complaining.
That is true.
I have to, Lance, I have to take advantage that he's not on the show to give him some grief,
Yeah, he'll hear about it.
Yeah.
He'll hear about it. Look, as far as his teammates go, I mean, they want him to win the Tour of Italy as easily as possible. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think also, if I'm not mistaken, and this is actually the scary part of Pogacar and his team, of the guys that are doing the Giro, I think only one or two are doing the Tour. They have a whole bunch of fresh, in theory, better quality guys that are, sitting in the waiting room to support him at the Tour de France.
Yeah. Well, you said it in the pre-show. I mean, I think it's pretty simple, right? You put the number on his back. There's some switches like everything. Yeah. It's like, oh wait, he feels the numbers on his back. It's like, no, that means we got to rate. Like he is special.
It's great.
Like that.
It's great.
Yes. And by the way, it doesn't matter what the conditions are, what the course is like. If the numbers are on his back, he's going to figure out a way to be at the front of the race. Like that. That is actually amazing to see. Like that's
first
super
of all,
cool.
In any Grand Tour, and especially in the first week, if you have ambition, you have to be at the front. You have to avoid crashes. I mean, yesterday I saw, and these are things that haven't changed yet. So yesterday the stage finishes in Napoli. Did I say that in Naples? No, Naples. Yeah, Napoli.
Yeah, we understood you.
Okay. Geraint was furious about the conditions of the road and the way, it was super dangerous. Those things have not changed yet. It's like, so obviously, the dangers are behind every corner. Pogacar went down already. Geraint Thomas went down already. There's a lot of other factors than just being strong and winning the stages. You have to stay out of trouble.
Yep. Well, JB, I know you wanted to talk about Geraint Thomas. I mean, I think it's an amazing. I mean, you guys picked him for y'all's podium. But I think it's an amazing. If we're talking about, well, the most interesting thing is to try to figure out who gets second and third. Okay, fine. But then when you start talking about him, I mean, you talk about likable characters and a guy who's been around. Gosh, I mean, folks, just to put this in context, I raced with Geraint Thomas. Okay, I'm 52 years old and I'm an old motherfucker. I raced a Tour de France with Geraint Thomas. Like, that's sick, right? Who are we going to cheer for? Or who, if what we're thinking about and watching and what's entertaining is who's going to get second or third, boy, he's got to be at the top of the list. I mean,
and also, think about this. He is, what is he now, 37? He's still up there. Let's not forget last year he almost won the Giro, lost it in the last time trial. The year before he was third in the Tour de France. He's been first, second, and third in the Tour, almost won the Giro, and this year he's still up there. We're always talking about these new guys, the young guys, the new generation. This is the guy who's still up there, making life hard for the young guys. And, if everything goes to plan, he finishes second or third in the Giro, which, under these circumstances is a huge accomplishment. And by the way, he's another guy who goes, who does the double. He also goes for the Tour. And I'm pretty sure that with the Giro in his legs, he's also going to be on a good level in the Tour.
Yeah. I mean, for the Americans listening, I always try to compare some of the stuff to American sports. When you think about Geraint Thomas and you look at his career here in the U.S. sports, if you call somebody a Hall of Famer, there's very few people. I mean, think about all the people that competed in some sport that we watch traditionally here in the U.S. right? There's thousands of people. There are very few that are in the Hall of Fame. Geraint Thomas is in the Hall of Fame, right? Everything you just laid out, Johan, the career that he's had, not just on the road, but also on the track, is a Hall of Famer, right? And so that's Tadej Pogačar is already a Hall of Famer, right? But if you look at this peloton.
But Lance, Geraint Thomas is multiple world champion on the track. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to say Olympic champion probably, or in team pursuit or something.
Yeah.
Pogačar has no world titles yet, or no Olympic titles yet.
I mean, Tadej Pogačar is a Hall of Famer. There's only two Hall of Famers in the race, was my point.
But you throw in all the hours logged as a super domestique as well. For guys like Geraint Thomas, they worked their ass off.
He's a pro. He's a pro. Yeah. And if being a pro, if the requirement or what the team is asking is that you try to win the race, he raises his hand. Yeah. If the team says, listen, you got to support somebody else and help them try to win the race, he also raises his hand. Like that's, and I think that's rare.
He's a solid guy. I mean, you have to have an incredible respect for a guy like him. I was getting a bit agitated at the beginning of the Giro. Why are you laughing? I
just love it when you get. By the way, you get mad very easily. You're one of these. You like look at. You're one of the few people who still looks at Twitter.
Yeah, I
who
do.
The fuck? Who the fuck? Who the fuck? Hang on. Who still looks at Twitter except for Johan Brunel?
It's entertainment.
No.
It's entertainment.
No. Okay. No. I haven't looked at Twitter and I don't even know how long. Nobody looks at that.
Well,
it's not even called. It's called Y. It's not even called Twitter anymore.
It's called X.
That too. I mean, that's what I know. I mean, it shows you what I know. Don't look.
Why?
Okay. Did you just why? Yeah, it should be called why. Yeah. Like, why are you looking? Yeah. That's what it should be. That's what it should be called. Why? Why are you wasting time on this?
No, it's fine. I'm not wasting time. That's fun for me. But there was Geraint Thomas and Ineos. I think they have gotten their things together. They're functioning as a team. They won stage one straight away with Jonathan Narvaez, amazing performance. And then, they basically took responsibility of the race, in my opinion, for the mere reason to be in front and stay out of trouble. But nowadays with, everybody has an opinion, and you have these YouTube kids who think that they're the smartest and experts on team strategies and tactics. They started to criticize Geraint Thomas and Ineos for their tactics. So yeah, I went and I said what I thought, and I defend the way of racing of Geraint and Ineos. In order to be in the front, you need to be at the front and stay out of trouble. And Lance, a lot of times taking control of the race, even if it's not chasing a group, you just make sure that your leader stayed out of trouble. It's a lot easier to keep the team organized. And you don't necessarily have to go 100% to be in front. So a little side note, I just wanted to
good. I'm glad you got that off your chest.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, anything else? I got to run and get on this year. Oh wait, JB, we got to talk about. We got the Ventum bike.
We do, yeah. We have an opportunity to win a brand new Ventum NS1 road bike at the end of this Giro. All right, and it's free to register. So why not sign up to win? Go to ventumracing.com/the-move. All right. The-move. ventumracing.com. The-move. And sign in. At the end of this Giro, we'll be drawing a name. One of our listeners will be winning a brand new NS1 road bike. Good luck.
Absolutely. All right. So we're back on in a week.
Yeah. In a week for recap 2.
All right. Good.
Maybe we can do the same show. Maybe we can just replay it. not much will have changed.
See if people notice.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's why they have the race.
Yeah.
That's why they have sporting events. Never know. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all in a week.
Okay. Thanks.